ready to go.
Hi everyone, I'm Allison Bates-Wan up here from the Department of Public Service. This is an information session about So this information session is an opportunity to learn more about the project and ask questions. It is distinct from the public hearing that will follow this at 7, which is hosted by the Public Utility Commission, who is essentially the court that will ultimately decide whether to grant the Warner Solar Project a certificate of public good. That will be an opportunity to make statements on the record. But any questions that you have now, you should ask of the project developers or of, if relevant, of the state. So I will.
Did everyone sign in here?
Oh, this is everyone so far is
I
signed,
see,
and there's
okay.
a sign sheet over there.
We have a small crowd. My name is Chris Little. I'm Director of Development for Ecos Energy, a new face for our development projects in Vermont. Some of you probably have dealt with our previous colleague, Brad Wilson. And Brad is no longer with our company, so I will be the new face of Ecos in Vermont for future projects. And we're here tonight to talk about the Warner Solar Project, which is a 2.2 megawatt facility, solar photovoltaic facility, located on a portion of a 27-acre parcel on the south side of Rice Lane. The project's being developed in coordination with the Vermont Standard Offer Program, which it has obtained a power purchase agreement under to sell power under a 25-year PPA. The project consists of clearing 8.65 acres and has a split zoning. We'll get to a map here, but the zoning to the north of the transmission line corridor is zoned rural residential, and the land to the south, which is where the Warner Solar Project will be built, is zoned industrial. And the entire solar facility will be built on this industrial portion of the property, with the exception of an access road off Rice Lane and a distribution circuit that will be underground that will connect the facility to Green Mountain Power's distribution facility. And then out by the road will be a small equipment pad, approximately 8 by 6 feet, that will house ground-mounted cabinets or pad-mounted cabinets, which would be for a metering cabinet and a recloser cabinet. And those cabinets are typically about 48 inches tall. And they're about 2 feet by 3 feet, I think 4 feet by 6 feet. Mike, if you want to go to the site plan slide, that one's not very easy to see. This one's a little more legible. Here's where you can see the proposed location of the solar farm. This corridor here is the transmission line corridor I referred to. So the project will be south of it. This is where the zoning designation changes. Everything from this point to the south is zoned industrial. Everything from this portion to the north is zoned rural residential.
Where's Rice Lane on this? Because it's very.
It is difficult to see. Rice Lane runs right along here, and then our access drive will come off of Rice Lane and south through this portion here and end here. I should point out a few things on this site plan that we talked about on the site walk or the site visit. The green areas that the blue areas that you see here, there's a 25-foot strip on the north, a 100-foot strip on the east, and then another 25-foot strip on the south. Those are vegetative buffers that will be maintained to help screen the project from both the north, east, and southern. And then there will be some vegetation on this side that will be left in place as well. Ecos hired an environmental consultant to review the potential effects of the project on the environment and resources, and the consultant has concluded that the project will not have an adverse effect on outstanding resources, waters. We don't have any wetlands on this property. Water pollution, headwaters, floodways, streams, shorelines, wetlands, soil, rare and irreplaceable natural areas, rare, threatened, or endangered species, necessary wildlife habitat. So that report is a part of our testimony that we filed, and it's accessible to the public. Further to that point, we've entered into a memorandum of understanding with the Agency of Agriculture, Food, and Markets concerning the primary agricultural soils on the property. And at the end of the useful life, the site will be returned to its pre-construction condition for agricultural purposes.
For agricultural purposes?
Well, it'll be converted back to a natural state.
Okay.
So there's a decommissioning component to this where the project will be removed after the end of its useful life.
Right, because it's not really agricultural, like suitable for agriculture right now, right?
It used to be farm.
Right, but I mean, right now it's wooded, right? Okay.
Yeah, right now it's wood.
Yeah, okay.
Correct.
The,
Yeah.
the whole parcel is wooded.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
In addition to hiring an environmental consultant, our company also hired an aesthetic consultant, which is VHB, that prepared an aesthetics report. And in that report, they outlined the criteria and the process for determining or whether the project meets the Ouija analysis. And there's multiple steps to determine whether the project would have, I guess the wording they use is, Mike, help me out here.
Well, there's different parts
It's
of it.
offensive, right?
That's the, if you get to the second part of the Ouija test.
Yeah.
But overall, we're just looking at whether or not there's an undue adverse effect. That's really the test.
Yeah. In
What,
that,
what is the Ouija, what is that?
the Ouija analysis, it was named after an individual, and I don't know the
It's
historical.
named after a condominium development in Ouija, Vermont.
Okay, oh, it wasn't, okay. Well, the test is to determine whether a project or a development would be offensive to the average person passing by the project. That's ultimately the test. But there's multiple steps to determine that. I don't want to get into that because I'm not an expert in that area, and that's why we hired an aesthetics consultant that prepared the report. But that report is available to the public as well. And that consultant did conclude that there would be no significant issues raised by the project with respect to the applicable statutory criteria. What that is the Ouija analysis. Also, the town of Bennington has determined that the project satisfies the local screening ordinance. And in our discussions with the town, we have agreed to maintain this 100-foot vegetative buffer on the east side of the project, which I outlined in the previous site plan. We also have a letter from the Bennington County Regional Commission that confirmed the project is well sited and it advances the renewable energy goals of the region. And that particular letter is also included with our 248 application. This particular slide shows sheep, although they're difficult to see. Our goal with this particular project and all of our solar projects moving forward, if we can find sheep grazing partners, our intent is to run sheep on the property as opposed to mowing these sites. This has a number of benefits. The sheep are able to get into some nooks and crannies where these lawnmowers aren't, but it also allows us to avoid putting pollutants into the air by running lawnmowers. And sheep are great at carbon farming. And we have a partner near Bennington that has agreed to work with us to graze sheep on this site.
So, okay, so are they gonna be housed on the site, or they're just gonna come in to do the mowing and?
They typically rotate them, so they're not going to keep them on all summer. There probably wouldn't, depending on how many sheep, there may not be enough vegetative cover to feed them. So they'll likely bring them on site, cut all the grass down, and then they'll rotate them to another site and then bring them back later once the vegetation grows up.
So have we considered the noise impact of the sheep? Like, will they, because we have a motel, and so it's, you know, that's a little bit of a concern if they're going to be like making noise at night. I don't know about sheep. I know goats sometimes will be like human babies, is what they sound like. So I know sheep aren't as bad, but
I
do
mean,
you have any kind of analysis on that?
We have, no, we've not done any analysis. I can tell you we've had them on other sites. They typically don't make any noise except for when they run off of the trailer onto the site.
Uh-huh.
I mean, sheep obviously can make noise, but they're a lot less than a lawnmower.
True. It's just, if it were like in the middle of the night, if they were grazing, you know, if they were on site in the middle of the night when people are trying to sleep, that I don't know. It seems like it might be problematic, but maybe not. I don't know. You know, I don't know how far the sound carries. Or
We would have to consult with our sheep partner.
If
to
you
answer
wouldn't
those
mind
questions.
asking them, you know, just
Yeah.
asking them, because that really could be an issue for us. I mean, probably not, but you know,
Yeah.
something.
So there's not gonna be a structure on site for them to stay in, so they're gonna come and go, is that what you're saying?
They would be housed by the fence, the perimeter fence that surrounds the solar farm.
So they're gonna live there then?
They would live there temporarily and then be relocated off the site to another farm or another solar farm.
So what's the average time that they would be there?
2 days.
Yeah, depends on how many sheep, but yeah, not very long.
Ashley Bridge is our sheep consultant, and I just spoke at the request of Vermont Agency of Agriculture, Food and Markets at a UVM extension program that is trying to coordinate. They're trying to encourage the use of sheep rather than traditional mowing. And so I went up there to speak about it from a developer's perspective and to better understand what's at issue. But from my understanding, they'll bring the sheep for 2-3 days max and then take them off site.
But do they have a shelter? Or
I'm not
do
sure
they
if
just stay out?
Yeah, there's nothing at the facility itself. There's no shed.
The solar panels essentially can act as a shelter for
Right.
them.
I mean, it's a really cool idea. Don't get me wrong. I'm just like just thinking
You
about
just
like
wanna
the
know the specifics.
possibilities of like
Yeah.
noise in the
We'll
middle
have
of
to
the night.
talk to her, but I
Yeah.
can't imagine there would be
Okay.
an issue with that.
Yeah.
That topic did not come up.
Yeah, I mean, she could probably tell us whether they make any noise at night.
And this is coming from, I hate lawnmower noise. I hate it more than anything.
Yeah.
So that's, but yeah.
As long as they chew with their mouths closed.
I have a question. The railroad runs through both of those projects. I believe they have a 25-foot right-of-way on each side of the track, correct?
Well, I don't know the buffer on each side of the track. We have surveyed the right-of-way itself.
Okay, you know what that is and what?
The
is-
width of the right-of-way, I don't know off the top of my head. You might.
I don't.
Do you plan on removing any trees that's in that right-of-way?
No, we can't touch anything inside of the right-of-way, yeah.
Thank you.
And,
we're-
and there's a mandatory setback in addition to their right of way,
Yeah, it's 50 foot.
which is 50 feet.
50-foot right-of-way is what they have.
The
Well, no, 50
setback.
foot setback from the right of way, so from the edge of their property.
Yeah. This next slide, we'll talk about some of the different components of the solar farm. This is a slide that shows the basic racking structure, which is fairly typical for these types of projects without the solar panels on. The way that these are constructed is these are either H-beam or C-channel piers. They're driven into the ground at surveyed locations, and then after these are all in place, crews come around and they attach what this is referred to as a table. And the table is ultimately what the solar panels are then attached to in this one. This is showing, is this one of our solar facilities? Yeah, I don't think it is. Looks like it's showing a tilt angle of about 30 degrees. Ours will be slightly less at 25 degrees.
Has
So
that been changed since it was presented to the regional commission? Because I think it was presented as 15.
Is at 15 degrees?
I can't remember.
Yeah, okay.
We prefer 25 for what it's worth.
I'll look into that and get you an answer before the end of this meeting. I stepped into the middle of this project, so I have read through all the testimony, I've written all the testimony, but I'm getting up to speed with some of this stuff. We'll go on to the next slide here. This is just a profile view of the solar panels. Again, it's kind of dark. Typical distance from the ground to the top edge of the solar panel is 8 to 9 feet, depending on the insulation and topography. This is a typical equipment pad, although this isn't what ours is necessarily going to look like. But it will look similar to this on the interior of the project. It's important to distinguish between what we're putting out by Rice Lane and what will be located at the equipment pad inside the array. This is a combination of switchgear and disconnect cabinets, and this one doesn't show a transformer, unless that's the transformer in the middle. But all of the smaller equipment is going to be located out by the road.
Outside of what?
The smaller, the cabinets that we're putting out by Rice Lane are not going to be quite this large.
How large are they gonna be compared to those?
They'll be about there's two. There's the metering cabinet and there's the recloser cabinet. And they'll be about 2 to 3 feet and 48 inches tall. And the other one will be about 4 to 5 feet and also about 48 inches tall.
And this is for Warren project.
This is for the Warner project, yes.
Will it be screened? Will it be screened?
I'm sorry?
Will it be screened?
The interior or the exterior?
The one by Rice.
The one by the road? We have, let's see.
So are there gonna be two?
Yeah, there is.
I'm confused. So there's gonna be one on the interior of the
Yes.
project and then the one by Rice Lane as well?
That's correct. So I'll
Okay.
if I can get back to the. It's not responding. Oh, I know why. It's because that slide is so big, it takes it off of that blue too. All right, so we'll have an equipment pad here that will have a transformer and a switchgear. And then there will be a circuit that runs all the way up here to a separate pad, which is the point of interconnection for the project.
Okay.
That's the location where we interconnect into Green Mountain Power's distribution system.
Is that where the road is as well? That
Yep, that's Rice Lane.
So at the end, is, at the point of interconnection, is that where Rice Lane is? Is that what you're saying?
That's correct.
Okay.
No, I mean, is that where the access road is? Is that where your access road is?
Rice Lane is right here. The access road comes
Right.
off of Rice Lane.
Right, so that-
And then the interconnection pad is right here.
Okay.
Difficult to see on this.
Is the access road the one, that's going in on the bump property? Where you've got like shiplap and, or riprap or something, right up by the railroad tracks? Is that the point of entry there?
That's a separate project.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's totally separate from this particular
Okay.
project.
But you've cleared a spot for this type of a pad down the road, and that is for Otter Creek, not for this one, correct?
Correct.
So
Yep.
it's good, so we'll have two pads and two sets of,
But we're only talking about this project, so yeah, it'll have 2 pads, but one will be interior
Right.
to the project, and then one will be out by the road.
and we'll have one for Otter Creek down the road a ways.
That's a totally separate project.
Well, I'm just saying,
Separate parcel, separate everything. We're here to talk about the Warner project. The project we anticipate will be fenced. We're going to use a knotted type fence, as you see here, that are common for agricultural uses as opposed to a chain link fence.
When you say anticipated, isn't that
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
You said, when you say anticipated, isn't that in your plan that it actually?
Let me rephrase that. We are planning to
Okay,
use,
great.
everything at this point is proposed, so I guess I'm using that.
Sometimes A&R will weigh in.
Yeah.
I just want to hear a word like anticipated, that kind of leaves it.
Yeah, it's in our plan, but we always get feedback from the various state agencies. For
Okay, no,
just for
that's-
example, with respect to fencing, A&R usually likes to see a wildlife gap at the bottom to let small critters traverse the site, whereas the agency of agriculture, food, and markets, they would rather see the site mowed by sheep, in which case you can't have that gap. So it's kind of fluid in that sense that it's a give and take with the state agencies. It might, it'll be something very similar to this, but we don't know. We respond to them.
Yeah, what Mike refers to a gap, if there's a wildlife gap, coyotes or other predators can get in.
And again,
Get at the sheep.
how high did you say the fence would be?
6 feet, and there's no barbed wire rampart being proposed.
And is it inside the 100-foot vegetative easement, or is it on the outer portion?
It'll be on the interior, so it'll be within the 8.65 clearing area.
And then beyond that is the 100 feet.
That's correct.
So, okay, right.
Yes.
So on our side, it's the 100 feet and then the fence.
Yes.
If we were to walk to it, okay.
Yes.
Thanks.
This next slide just shows a depiction of what our typical access drive would look like. We don't pave, they're typically just a crushed aggregate material. And the last few slides here are some aerial photos of what a typical array looks like. And this next slide is one that's was constructed in Sudbury, Vermont, which is complete and operating. And this is a 2.0 megawatt solar facility. So roughly this will be about the same size, a little bit larger than what you're seeing here.
What, what the acreage is of that array?
I don't know.
I just asked because I think that your array, the Warner one, is relatively small. You just tried to pull it in, the revised plan
Yeah.
we saw. So usually, we figure close to 7 acres per megawatt, but you had it 2 and 9.
Well, it's also important to know that since we built this project, this used a 340 watt solar panel. There's been a lot of technological improvements even over the last couple of years. And so what we're proposing at the Warner, depending on when we build it, it could be different. But right now, all the solar panels we're putting on all of our new projects are 400 watts. So it actually requires less and less land as the technology improves. And by the time this project's built, who knows? It could be, approaching 450 or 500 watt modules.
Thank you.
The project obviously helps the county regional commission reach their energy benefits and goals, as well as the town of Bennington and their town plan. It has a very low impact. We're anticipating, we're relying on our aesthetics report that has shown that there will not be any visual impacts from any of the adjacent properties, including the motel. The project will have very little impact to town services, and what we mean by that is we're not putting in a residential subdivision that'll be a burden on the school system. There will be no impact on, above and beyond any other typical use on police or fire services, and the project pays property taxes. So it's kind of a win for the town, given that we're not a drain on city services or town services, and we still pay property taxes. The project is able to be naturally screened with the existing vegetation. It's not going to make any noise that anyone can hear from off-site. There isn't any waste generated by solar farms. very low traffic impacts. Once the project's built, it's unmanned, there will be periodic scheduled maintenance, and then there will be periodic unscheduled maintenance. But there won't be someone out on the site every day. It'll be periodic. It's hard to predict how frequent, but I would say it's unusual for us to have someone out there more than once a month.
The last time we had a discussion with you guys, you didn't know the timeline for construction, which is a little bit, if you got a lot of trucks going down Rice Lane and particularly 7A, like that might be, like have an impact on our business. So is there any new developments about, do you know the timing of like what season you're going to be constructing in?
It's all going to depend on how the 248 application process goes, and how long it takes. That's impossible for us to predict. It's very wildly between projects. We've had some that are years, and we've had others that was, I don't know how long did Battle Creek take. I think that one was relatively a year, about a year. And we filed.
We would love to know, but
I'm just trying to.
I'm
I'm trying
guessing
to predict
when
it.
the PUC makes these sorts of decisions. It's our preference not to build in the winter.
And with that, that's the end of the presentation. I'd open up to questions that anyone has in addition to what's already been asked.
The 100-foot buffer that you talked about earlier, can you run ribbons across that and delineate exactly where that is so we can see and look from the public house and look from the hotel?
So I think we did something similar to that on the Apple Hill or Chelsea project, where we had put like an orange snow fence up.
Not aware of that.
Yeah. Well, I know that it did happen. I don't recall which project, but maybe it was Battle Creek. I don't know.
Do you want me to turn the lights on?
Yeah, please. Yeah, now that we're done.
That is something I've talked about with Brad Wilson a number of times, to do that.
Yeah, so we could send someone out
Yeah.
to do that. Yeah, I mean, I think something bright like an orange fencing is about the best we could do.
Well, that was what I requested earlier when we had the public house, to even have balloons that are bright colored that at least would define where it was going to be.
Yeah. We can look into balloons. We'd have to have a surveyor do it, because I don't want to be inaccurate with my.
But, yeah, I mean, we stood up, and I've been here, I don't know how many times, talking about, well, it's really over there, we really have to stop there. And for years, I said, it's so easy just to run a tape and let people see is exactly.
Or not see.
Or not see, exactly. So it benefits everybody.
Yeah, we will look into that. I'll talk to the surveyors, but I think it would have to be in connection with a separate site visit, because we've already conducted the site visit.
Well, I already requested one of these, maybe that would be enough.
Okay.
So then at the end, when, or decommissioning, which, I probably expect I won't even be alive at that point, but whatever, my descendants. At that point, and you return it to the, you said an agricultural state, but would it be like, would you then like replant the trees and stuff that were there, or, I mean, are you just gonna like, clear it out and just get all your stuff out?
Yeah, there's a decommissioning plan in connection with the project, and the decommissioning plan involves removing the above ground and below ground facilities, and does require restoring the vegetative state. It doesn't require any additional tree planting or anything.
Okay, so, yeah, so
So-
what's there is like woods and, yeah, what,
That- That's
grow
right.
back at some point.
Yeah. Just like I believe the public house land must have grown back naturally over time.
Sure.
Any other questions? This is followed at 7 o'clock by the. Oh, it is, okay. Yeah, the tilt angle is 25 degrees. So previous projects were, have been stated as 15, so that may be where it's in.
Well, I'm with the regional commission.
Oh, you are, okay.
We had a couple presentations on this one, and I think originally it started out 25 or so, and then there was a move to flatten them out some so that they could be moved closer together without shading each other, I think. But maybe with increased generating capacity of the panels, you're able to go back up and still reduce the area. So.
Yeah, we get a little bit more production at 25 degrees, particularly in the spring and fall.
Well, that was why the Energy Committee favored a higher tilt angle, because the lower tilt angle really is just maximized for midsummer production, and it drops off more on the shoulder seasons.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I know that GMP has built a number of projects at 15 degrees, and one of the reasons they do that is to try to maximize the capacity that they get out of it. And that's to maximize basically the production during peak low periods. I actually should say that I'm speculating that's why. I don't know that for certain, but that was always my speculation.
Is it, at the next, the PUC hearing, is that at a time when we can, like, air any concerns that we have, or is it?
Yes.
Yeah,
We have
on the
22
record.
minutes before that starts.
And then, I mean, maybe you want to wait. Didn't the notice say 7 o'clock or when the information session ends, whichever is first?
Are you suggesting that we start the public hearing now?
Well, I think that's what it said.
Well,
You can't,
we certainly
the chairman
would
isn't
if
here.
The chairman of the PUC was here.
I'll go look to see if he's here.
Well, maybe they're hanging out.
We certainly have no objection to that.
You had said that earlier,
Yeah.
No, it's
It's
just
in
not a good
the
idea.
meeting notice.
Yeah.
I'm kind of sitting in for my business partner who's been reading emails over the past couple weeks. I don't know, did you send that presentation to anybody? Was that sent out beforehand, or?
I
did
didn't
that be
circulate
sent out
it.
to the people whose
Michael, did
names?
you?
This presentation?
Yeah.
No, this is.
Could you send it to the people whose names who are
Sure.
signed in today?
Yeah.
Absolutely. You'll get a lot more information from what's been officially filed. This
Yeah,
is
but-
kind of a 20,000-foot summary of it.
Actually, the 20,000 foot summary is much easier for us. We're not gonna,
Okay.
I mean, it's our busy season right now, so,
Yeah.
we're ramping up over the summer, you know,
Or
so, like,
even-
I can't read a, 25, 30 page.
Even just Chris's
10.1.
testimony is pretty helpful.
What?
Chris is one of the experts that has filed testimony.
Uh-huh.
His testimony is a presentation of the project as a whole.
I see.
That'll probably give you a much better understanding. I'll still send you this presentation, but I think Chris's testimony is a good place to start.
Chris's expertise is what?
Your expertise.
Engineering or what? I mean,
Development and real estate. So my role is business development and then actual project development, and also arrange financing for the projects.
So, the other parcel, the one that abuts, the motel's property, the one that's in the rural residential, that's right adjacent to Rice Lane. My understanding is that eventually that your plan is to eventually develop that as well. Is that, no? That's the case, right?
Oh, you're talking about north of the transmission line?
Yes. North, yes.
Michael, do you want to address that?
Sure. It is contemplated that we're gonna do something there. We've talked about it with the town, that was part of our overall deal, but officially we haven't done anything yet.
Nothing's been filed.
But I mean, there'd be no reason not to, right? I mean,
To not find.
It is fine. Well, I'm sure he was probably intending to stay out of this portion of it, so we probably
Right.
won't see him until 7 o'clock.
But he did emphasize that it could start earlier, so.
Oh, he did, okay.
Have you done this presentation for the committee or the commission, or do you not do that?
Do I do the presentation before who?
The commission, the pub commission?
The PUC?
Yes.
Yes. I have not in the past, no, but I will be handling them moving forward. Yeah.
This particular presentation?
Yes.
No.
Oh, okay.
There's no reason to. They have the full plan set, full testimony. This is just a summary.
Could you possibly email me after you've like made inquiries about his sheet? I mean, is it like honestly, I probably think we prefer sheep, you know,
Yep.
to lawnmowers, but
I'll tell you
just-
what, I'll get you a business card after the public hearing.
I mean, sheep are cute.
They are. It's really kind of neat to see them pour onto the site too. They get really excited.
So the library's closing in like 15 minutes, so I don't know if you'll have to have someone down there meet them.
Well,
Usually
I can
they'll
go down
back
there.
side.
Right, do they know to come in the side door?
You might want to put a sign up.
Yeah, I'll go post up out there and make sure he gets in.
Okay, I can. I mean, that's fine with me.
Do you want so I
Sure.
can just feel any
Yep.
questions or anyone?
I can go down and wait for